Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Milestone Book Club on 22 Panels, where today we start year three of the original Milestone universe, is what it said on the front cover of hardware number 25. Hardware number 25, and then Deathwish 1 through 4. Was it 1 through 4 or 1 through 5? I forget. I just read it, but I don't
One through
remember how many issues it
It's
was.
four, one through
four, I
four. It's
believe.
It was
One
four.
through
4.
four.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a four-issue miniseries, and
Yep.
Right.
it was. I mean, man, what hell of a four-issue, hell
Yeah, it was
hell of a
good, and I can
miniseries.
I can only imagine how explosive it was at the time, unless it managed to fly under people's radars. And the J.H. Williams art was
Yeah. It's
outstanding.
hard because I was in comics and I mean, we've spoken about this. I was in college, and so I was away from comics. It was probably the sparsest comics consumption I had since elementary school. You know what I mean? So I don't know what the temperature was, if I was just missing it or yeah, if it made a splash. But one thing I would say is that like I like this is almost gone, the idea of like a four-issue mini series that's not specifically being made for the trade. You know what I mean? Like we'll get
Right.
like short mini series, but like you got this. I think I told you guys last time, or maybe I didn't, but I got the Wise Son. I found the Wise Son issues, the four issues miniseries, really cheap on eBay.
Yes, the
Yeah,
Hoche Anderson ones.
yeah, and that was great too. Like I really like what and Marvel and some of the other publishers, Vertigo would put out like four-issue miniseries, and again, it wasn't just like here's a trade that we're doing single issues. It was like just meant to be a cool, tight little miniseries, and I don't know, I like what a lot of creators did with that format, and
Hmm.
definitely in this case too.
Yeah, it's. I mean, whew, yeah. Sorry, I'm not even sure where to begin with this thing because this is.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, I mean, should we talk
this.
about hardware? Because we're going to
You're
be
right.
talking a
Sorry. Let's
lot
actually.
about Deathwish. Like,
Yeah,
I
let's
feel
actually
like there's
start
a
with the
lot to talk
hardware.
about Deathwish. Yeah.
um,
Um,
but yeah, no, this is a hell of a miniseries.
yeah.
Um, because it's yeah, I mean, where do we even start with this thing? Like
Yeah. Well, you
it's
know what? How about this? This was a cool hardware exercise
yes.
anniversary issue.
Yeah, the
I
hardware
feel
one
like we can
itself.
move on to Deathwish because we love hardware.
Yeah,
We
a
talked about
lot
the
of the
hardware.
hardware here was actually just kind of recapping hardware.
Well, it's
Yeah,
it's a
but I will
recap, but
say this. Oh, go ahead, Ted. Sorry.
Yeah.
it's I mean it's a recap, but it's a celebration.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
a fantastic like here's what here's what hardware is. Here's what hardware has done for the past 2 years.
yeah,
Here's how things are changing, et cetera, et cetera.
yeah,
Like it is a celebration of everything that hardware is and will be, and et cetera.
right. But it
You know,
is significant in the sense that
Hmm.
yes.
because what's interesting when we were on book two of the Milestone Compendium, uh, they dropped a bomb on us basically that Curtis was, going seemingly going back to work for Alva. And it got like right after that, it got interrupted by all the miniseries by Crisis, not
Hmm.
Crisis, Worlds
Yeah,
Collide. And,
the other crisis. Yeah.
yeah. And then even when they came back, I remember there were some issues where they didn't really deal with the questions. Cause my thing is like, when you drop that bomb that he's working with
Yes.
Alva, you're like, I need answers now, and again, that's what frustrates me about publishers like huge events is that you're following the month to month and you're like really looking for answers for something, and then all of a sudden it's just like gets shut off, like because of the event. But what I will say is
Yeah.
with this anniversary issue, the one thing it did that's really significant is I feel like this one more than anything kind of reckoned up with what's going on in Curtis's brain with
Hmm.
Yes.
and he makes a decision. Now we don't know what that's going to look like, but he definitely like, the issue starts with to me this is the most significant thing. The way it begins and ends is they kind of revisit the bird the
The bird
anecdote,
story. Yes.
yeah, about the
Hmm.
bird that Curtis had as a kid that would crash into the window trying to get free over and
Yes.
over, and the illusion of freedom and the illusion of advancement. And then Curtis, like in the intro and then definitely in the end, is like, he basically reclaims his power and it says like, no, I don't have to smash the window. I don't have to this, that, and the third, I essentially can make my own way out. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And you definitely see he's reckoning with Alva, and that he has more agency than he has been giving himself, allowing
Yeah,
himself.
this is a restatement of principles in a way. Like
Yeah,
this is not just here's what's been happening to hardware, it's also here's what he's gone through.
right.
Here's the changes he has gone through as a character and like why it's so significant for him. And here's us restating what hardware is to the Milestone universe, which is
Yeah,
kind of its core. Like yeah, I mean we
yeah. I
talked
mean, it
about
was the first book.
it was the first book. It was the mission
Yeah,
statement. Like in a lot of ways, it's the Milestone book.
yeah,
And I mean that in the most positive way, obviously. But like it is the most milestone of all the books, and it's a fantastic book. And this is it saying, okay, we did the Worlds Collide stuff, we did the stuff with Arcana, we did some other nonsense, but like we're getting back to first principles here. He's getting kidnapped by like Nick Fury, um, who I had to look it up. This is his first
we
appearance.
do have to talk about that.
Yeah,
Yeah, this
Sanction. I was confused at first because like, has this guy been like showed up this whole time? Who is he? And it's like, no, this
no,
is first to know. This is him. Like
and this is a good like 5 years before we got Sam Jackson, Nick Fury in the
as
Ultimates
actual Black Nick Fury.
universe.
Yeah.
I there has to be, even if it's one of those things where like I don't know, they had seen it at a certain point and forgotten about it. There's
Oh
no
yeah.
way.
Mark
That's too
Mark
big of a
Miller.
coincidence.
Mark Miller, noted Milestone fan. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah,
No.
but I also noted creator who I don't believe has a ton of principle. So
It's also true.
yeah,
Let's be honest. No, I get you completely.
Yeah.
It is the thing where like I would not be surprised either way. Yeah, no, you're right.
yeah,
Um
yeah,
but yeah, so this is sanction coming back saying coming to Curtis, kidnapping him, getting the drop on him, saying, "Hey, here's all the stuff you've been up to," and making him seem. I mean, I like the misdirection of it, where we get all these flashbacks of Sanction talking to
hmm
all the various people in his life, talking to Freaky and talking to Baraki and all these other characters, and like kind of interviewing them. And along the way, I'm like, how is he like getting to talk to these people? These are like his
his
closest
access,
friends.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
how wait, the character? Oh no, sorry. I was thinking of the character access. I'm like,
oh
what
no,
is
no, no,
that?
I just mean, how
Yeah,
did he get access to all these people? Yeah,
exactly. And then of course the gimmick, the not the gimmick, but like the point of it is that they're the ones who hired this guy to kind of set Curtis straight and figure out
right.
what the hell has he been doing? Like you're working for Alva. What is this, man? And they get
Yeah,
that kind of like judgment walk where the jury comes in and looks at him and says like, "Man, figure yourself out." And that
yeah,
was God, that was so good. Yeah, no, this was a restatement of principles for this series in a really good way. This is it's a rebirth thing. He literally gets stripped down to his shorts and kind of all his flaws and all his story exposed and made bare and like, yeah, this is who he is at the most basic level. What does he do next? And
yeah.
I loved it. I thought it was great. I thought it was I mean, okay, for some reason when I started reading this, I was really confused. I was confusing it with what was the other was it an image thing where like issue 25 of all those image series was like set in or like they released issue 25 first of like issues of Spawn or whatever, and then they like worked their way up to it. There was like a weird time travel thing with does anyone know what
I
I'm
don't know
talking
if I
about?
remember that. I actually don't. I don't really remember. Maybe I just didn't read those issues.
I might be going crazy. There was
Oh.
some
No,
there
I
was
mean,
some
it
yeah.
might have happened. I just didn't read those.
I for some reason I was expecting issue 25 of Hardware to be kind of a if not time travel, at least like I don't know. I thought there would be some sci-fi aspect to it, but no, it's literally just Nick Fury comes in, says, "Hey, here's every single thing you've done wrong.
Hmm.
Figure yourself out, man." And like that's great. I love that. And then
Yeah,
every single one of Curtis's friends come in and said, "Hey, yeah, you like what are you doing here? What nonsense are you pulling, man?"
right.
And yeah, it's a nice way to do like a big milestone, haha, a big milestone issue of
Right.
like,
A
yeah,
milestone, milestone.
it's a milestone. Yeah, this is how much you've changed. This is
Right.
what's happened in your life, and I like that a lot. It was a really nice way to do it. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, me too. And yeah, the other significant thing for me is that, Well, this was 100% Dwayne McDuffie writing, which I think
Yes.
in previous issues it was like other people recently, other people or them and Dwayne McDuffie.
Yeah.
And also, it was cool that, they jump back and forth between Dennis Cowan and Humberto Ramos, which is interesting because their styles are obviously very different, but it works. And I didn't feel
Yes.
like pulled out of it like I do sometimes when they go back and forth between artists in the same issue. So it was cool. Oh, and the other thing that's really significant is the last lines of the issue where Hardware says, first was about vengeance, now it's about justice. So that's like, like a real definitive thing. Cause he's kind of like, gone back and forth. He was wrestling before he went back to Alva with being about more than just revenge, and a
Yeah.
vendetta. But now he's sorry, I'm just what my dog's doing. Now he is he's really he's making a solid decision that he wants to be about justice.
And this also this I had kind of forgotten about this, but I mentioned that one of the most recent issues of Icon we did has a sequence that I always remember. Wait, was it Icon? Have we done this one yet? Where
Which one?
it's the one. Okay, it's kind of the big wrap up where Icon announces he's leaving Earth, or have I just spoiled things for people?
No, I think
No, I think we did that
we
We
did
already.
did
that
that one.
one. We did
Yeah.
do that. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure.
Because
Yeah.
there's a line that I always remember, because that's another one of these issues that I had when I was a kid. I had this random assortment of issues, and it had that line where Static gives his theory, which is also partly Hardware's theory, about how the Q juice worked, where he says it's like,
Hmm.
this is a stuff that doesn't, this is like weird plasma that doesn't know what Planck's constant is, so it's constantly looking for like human perception, like, every observer changes it, and like people who breathe it in, you ask the universe a question and it gives you the answer you expect to get. So bang babies are people who got what they expected to get that night, most of whom expected to die. And then Icon says, well, what do you expect? He's like, I what do you expect from the universe? And uh Static says, I expect justice. And like that's
Hmm.
right. I mean, that pairs so well with exactly what Hardware is saying,
Yeah.
that yeah, it's not about vengeance, it's about justice. Like that becomes the rallying cry, the defining moment of Hardware. I mean, it's of all the Milestone characters. Like it is about what are they actually fighting for? What is the purpose of their superhero ness? You know what I mean? But yeah, um, yeah, no, this is a great issue. I'm
I enjoyed it.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and it also, like I said, I mean, I don't even know if fun is the right word. It's just really, really solid as telling you. It does. It feels like a jumping on point. Like great first issue to jump into, but it doesn't feel as
Yeah,
though it's
again, it's a recap.
right.
It's um like decision point and then future statement of purpose.
Yeah, but it doesn't ever feel like, hey kids, here's what your
Right.
your favorite character Hardware is up to. Here's what his deal is.
Right.
Like it's
Though
very.
it is helpful in giving you issue numbers for
Yes, I do appreciate that. I was like, oh yeah, what was he doing? Like, when was he fighting
I mean, so
Arcana?
so that's how it's very clearly recap when you're
Yeah.
getting as seen in issue every
Editor's
other
note:
page. Um,
Dynamic Dwayne McDuffie. Um,
but that's not a bad thing,
oh no, yeah, I'm not complaining at all. I that's
particularly because as Marcus was saying, hardware kind of like went back to Alva, was forced back to Alva, but then we fell into events and we haven't explored that much.
yeah, we did have that great 3 issue arc that just wrapped up with the kid, like the kid who becomes his
Right.
new student, etc., protege, and then that stuff, which was fun. Although I don't actually think it ever gets followed up on, which sucks. But
Yeah.
but but it does tie. But that was very much a story about Hardware working with Alva, which is
Hmm.
what I wanted to see from this partnership, is him actually having to figure out what he's going to do now that he's working with the guy who was his big nemesis. So yeah, this is saying, here's what we're doing from now on. Him trying to play Alva at the same time he's going to be working with Alva, apparently. Yeah, I'm. Yeah, no, this is a great updated mission statement.
Right.
in a cool way. Yeah.
Well, I mean, and going back to that, I mean, I don't even know if you were with us when we did the first hardware arc,
Right.
but
Starting with the bird and everything.
but like I remember being struck by I didn't think I'd ever seen somebody who was supposed to be a superhero portrayed as so angry and driven towards vengeance before. I mean, even your Frank
Yeah.
Castles, that was something that you were supposed to know, but it wasn't like shown in the same way.
And it also wasn't depicted as toxic in the same way because I went
Right.
back and reread a lot of the early hardware issues because I also was reading up on Deathwish to remember what happened with that, and I
Hmm.
forgot that there's a sequence in I don't even know issue 3 or 4 where hardware like wakes up in the middle of the night and he hallucinates talking to the pilot of the helicopter that he explodes in issue 1.
Right.
Random nobody, faceless guy just piloting a helicopter, and he has this like horrific dream where the guy's got, he's missing an arm and his face is all burnt up and stuff, and he's realizing, oh, this is the human cost of what I'm doing, and that's
Right.
just for the just not for the hell of it, but like just to show you this is the cost of what he is doing, and it's
Well,
so
and we get that again here where he can't
oh
sleep.
yeah, no, it's oh god. I mean, it
Yeah.
makes me think of the other example that I think of with stuff like that is there's that issue of the Invisibles where it's King Ma. It's like the entire issue is one backstory of one random faceless gas mask goon from like the first arc that got killed in a nothing fight that never has any further relevance to the plot. Like that's one of my all-time favorite issues of comics, and this is doing the same thing. Or I mean, that specific issue was doing the same thing, where it's yeah, here's the human cost of what you're doing, hardware, and to do that so early on, and then keep following up on that. Yeah,
Yeah.
God, it's oof. Jeez, man,
Yeah.
Milestone. Every now and then I realize, like, oh yeah, they really were doing it like nobody else was doing it like them back in the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know I'm just kind of restating the mission statement of our little podcast here, but it is like every now and then I just have to realize like, oh yeah, hell yeah, shit, they were doing it.
Again, in so many ways, these comics would fit in better at Image today
Yeah,
than
as their own
they
little
did
shared mini
anywhere
universe.
in 1994.
Yeah.
All right. I
It's
got yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
I actually don't have anything to say. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, I've said this a few times, so I won't beat this drum too hard, but I do think that one of the things that I miss, I think that the books of the new Milestone returns have been really, really great. I think the one advantage that these series has had back then is that they just were allowed to run, you know what I
Mhm.
mean, like
Yeah.
continuously. And this whole seasons thing, it's it's kind of a slap in the face in the sense that it's like, just trust Milestone to be what it is. I know they do seasons for some books, but a lot of them just get to cook and like, kind of
Yeah.
like keep going and build their momentum. And yeah, I don't know. I really, that's my biggest criticism of what DC is doing with Milestone now is that they're just not allowing it to run. I get seasons with say Saga or like an indie book,
Oh yeah.
where it's
Right.
like all like one phenomenal Fiona Staples type creator that's just like got to draw it all, and like, you know what I mean, she needs time to catch up. But there's ways that man, they keep Batman running like every 2 weeks.
Oh yeah.
Like come on, like
I
you
got them get a
could
chance to sleep.
yeah, exactly. So I mean, I don't know, but that's
It's
neither here nor there.
But yeah, I mean, I was agreeing because also like the thing that people also compare this to is, prestige format television versus old school syndicated stuff.
Yeah.
Like I like new Star Trek as much as I like older Star Trek, but there's a certain charm to stuff like Next Generation where they had 26 episodes to fill and they got a whole bunch of bad crap in there that nobody remembers. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
yes,
there's
yeah.
yet another one. Like I'm trying to remember. I don't even remember. Someone had a great tweet once where they're talking about like the classic Star Trek episode is 40 minutes of people in a conference room talking about how the engine broke this week. And like,
Right.
yeah, that's a classic Star Trek episode right there. I like the slam
Yeah.
bang action stuff. I like the deeper philosophical discussions, but also like not every episode got to be, an Emmy contender,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a very similar thing where it's like you want to have these episodes that are a little bit you
Well,
have
I
it's
wonder how much of it was also um that they were so different and had so few expectations.
that's
I
a fair
I
point.
know
Yeah.
that those guys they fought. Dwayne McDuffie fought. It's why hardware is what it is because it's not like DC was like, sure, Dwayne, like we trust you all implicitly, like so. And when it fell apart, it really came down to them. It came down to to McDuffie like really standing and being like, no, you told us we were going to have this level of control, and now you're essentially like going back on it over a cover, and he held his ground, and they never really recovered after that. It's not like they just like killed it right away then and there, but they
Right.
stopped supporting DC the machine, like pulled its support, and they basically let it wither, or let it
Right.
end. So that's why it's kind of like the same company today that's like it
Turning
would be
into
interesting if they were able to maybe go independent or something,
Hmm.
and not have to worry about that. But yeah, anyway,
I yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it is I get what you're saying. It's a little disappointing to see to not have the ability to do these very long running built up over time. I mean, I'm managing the library. I'm managing the library. I love the DC young adult books that they do that
Yeah,
are random little volumes of stuff like Galaxy or
yeah.
the various Teen Titan books, and those are great. But also, like, imagine if we had a fucking ongoing Galaxy series or an ongoing Teen Titans as done by. I am blanking on her name, and I look like an idiot right now. But like, imagine if we had that
Yeah.
Kami Garcia. Kami Garcia.
Yeah,
Imagine
I
if we
met
had
her
an
at C2E2.
yes. Oh, hey, nice. Yeah, no, her stuff is fantastic, and I love those books. But like, imagine if that was just an ongoing series. Like,
Well, I mean, it
Yeah.
kind of is. It's just an
well,
ongoing series of graphic novels.
yeah, but I mean, like, you know what I mean, an
I know
issue
what
by
you
issue
mean
thing,
though.
where it's the
Yeah.
small units released regularly as opposed to relatively far apart releases of
Right.
big chunks
Like
of
what
stuff.
it's like, it's like if you think about, to your point, um Claremont X-Men. Like what if like Claremont X-Men had like a season of Claremont X-Men, and it's like you would get like 6 issues here, then disappear for like a year, and then maybe get another 6 issues a year and a half later. There was so much that happened in those years, and like he really, and of course Claremont is legendary. So of course I'm pulling out like a great example, but my point is he
Yeah,
was able
no,
to
I
like
get you though.
really build and just come up with this subtle nuance of like of the characters on their own intersecting like, relationships with one another.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and it's like he was able to build that because he wasn't just like sporadically having 6 issues here and there that are
Yeah.
going to be collected in a trade, So
yeah.
I think there's something to be said for this type of milestone story being given room to breathe, is what I'm saying.
I only recently heard about, I don't know if this is even an established term or just like a thing somebody said once, but the idea of like the Levitz paradigm, the Paul Levitz paradigm of like you always have 3 or 4 plots going at a time. You got your A plot, C plot,
Mm,
A, B, and C plots, and just sort of like you kind of swap between whichever one is dominating the story in this particular issue, but it's just sort of
yeah,
like just juggle them, man. Just try and kind of give more or less equal weight to each one of these, and then make it work from there. Like
yeah,
it's I like that as a paradigm because yeah, it means you get to kind of shake things up every now and then. And oh, if we want to do a whole issue about the masquerade and Gene or masquerade, Gene mastermind.
oh, I know what you're talking
Yeah, yeah,
about.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, the
Yeah.
guy, the Hellfire guy, right?
Yeah, and
Is that
now
what
I'm
you're talking
switching
about?
between, Claremont
Yeah,
and Levitz, but you know what I
yeah,
mean. Yeah, like if you wanted to do one issue about that thing instead, or if you want to follow up on the Shadowcat and Colossus stuff or whatever,
hmm,
yeah, swap it around. It's you got
yeah,
all these issues to do, and nobody's really keeping track of who's got the most issues. So
yeah.
yeah, man. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's unfortunately kind of a dying model of comics, but it's like God, when it works, it's so on. It's oof, man.
yeah,
I love this era. I mean, I long for this era of comics to come back one of these days. Um,
yeah, yeah.
Well, I
eventually.
think the key is not to have the error come back, but to realize that there's room for some books to be that way.
Oh,
No,
for sure.
that's exactly it. Because it's like comics are so many things. You
That's
know, they
true.
can be so many things. And yeah.
And I mean, I think that it's possible that we could see it. Um, there are a couple of things that make me think that that's possible. First, we're seeing anthology books come back. We're seeing anthology books come back both in terms of the anthologies where all of the stories are self-contained, and in terms of anthologies that have um, running stories. But the second thing, and I didn't realize this until recently, Fraction is planning his Batman run to have every issue be self-contained.
Oh yeah, and like that was Paul
Mm.
Dini's thing too. After Paul Dini took over, that was around the time of the Morrison run. I can't remember exactly when,
Right.
but yeah, I love that. That's great. I love that model. Um,
Yeah.
and also, I mean, yeah, like what was the other thing I was thinking about with
But
this?
also made it clear that it's not like they won't be a continuous story. It's just
Yeah, like
he
things
also
matter,
wants
but
it, so very much like the Claremont run where you're supposed to be able to pick up any given issue
yeah,
and
yeah,
enjoy it and have a beginning, middle, and end. But also, if you pick up 10 issues, there's a bigger thing.
Oh
yep.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I came into Claremont when the the X-Men were people thought they were no, it was right before people thought they were dead. But it was like they were living in like an abandoned Alcatraz, and like there's all the
Was
crazy
this
stuff with the Marauders, and it was right before the fall of the mutants.
this was the
And
Australia stuff, I think,
yeah,
right?
it was right before Australia. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But my point is, it's kind of like there's so much stuff happening that's like
Yeah,
all over the place and far reaching, but I didn't feel lost. Like I wasn't like, man, wait,
Right.
who's this? What are they about? I was able just to jump right in, even though there was so many things at play. And I jumped in and I'm like, okay, even though I didn't read these past issues, I get that, this was going on with Wolverine. I get that Storm's on her own mission right now. She's lost her powers, and you know what I mean. And
yeah.
I knew who Forge was, even though I didn't have it all spelled out. So my point is like, yeah, like I like that. You can do that in comics, and
That
so
paradigm is very much
yeah,
yeah. I mean, I'm also thinking of like the Grunwald run where you had all these different threads about not just Captain America, but then about John Walker, U.S. agent, and stuff like that. Yeah, no,
yeah,
it's oof. I love that particular paradigm. That's classic comics to me, and I kind of wish there were more ways to make that work these days.
definitely,
But yeah, I mean, you mentioned like even stuff like Fraction doing single issues, but also Zdarsky was doing the same thing with Batman too. It
hmm
was arcs that had you know 5 or 6 issues, and then it all tied up more or less into its own thing. Like it's
yeah.
Right.
yeah, it's not as though these are impossible to do. It's just that fewer and fewer people seem to make that places seem to make
Well, it
that the
just seems like there's, especially with the big posters, there's editorial mandates to like, and I know we just were talking about DC, about Fraction with DC, but like it just seems like the overall direction is not necessarily this,
yeah
so.
yeah the
Well,
But
but I mean that's and like it doesn't always work that way, but it's one of the reasons why I like it when one of the better known I mean when Fraction wants to do something, he normally gets to do it because he's going to sell. He's as close to A-list as comics come.
yeah.
close to no
Is
I'm kidding no
No,
Well,
he
I
is.
just
Yeah,
don't
no
know
I,
that
you're
there
right.
is
I know
A-list in
just the
comics.
way you phrased it sorry
Right.
no I get what you're
But
saying though
when they decide to do something like this, if it works, it makes it that little bit easier for somebody who isn't A-list to pitch something like it
yeah to do
because
that the next time
they've delivered proof of concept.
yeah yeah
Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
love for that to become more the norm but it's uphill
Well,
battle
and that's a great point because it's like, yeah, I love Matt Fraction, but yeah, he is. I think his word goes a little bit farther than maybe
Right.
some brilliant new creator who just
I mean,
doesn't have a name yet.
it's I don't think he's doing it as explicitly, but like Tom King's Wonder Woman hasn't been as clear cut, broken into trade paperback. I mean, like the first arc was a 5 issue arc, but after that it was like, oh, here's a one shot story. Now there's a 3 issue story. Now there's a
It fits nicely into the trade paperbacks, even if that wasn't like the explicit intent always. Yeah. Yeah.
right. So, I mean, the trade paperbacks wind up being slightly different lengths, and or they have 2 stories in them or 3 stories in them because he's telling stories rather than, oh, all of my stories have to be 6 issues.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Back to hardware.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
But
yeah. And also I want to make sure we
yeah,
get time for Death Wish
but I
too.
was
Yeah.
about to
Yes.
say back to Deathwish, probably.
Yeah, I feel like
Yeah.
we covered hardware.
I do
Yeah.
too. I mean,
I think we all liked the issue, and I think I appreciated the look back, and also, but also the fact that it kind of shed ground for development in a new direction as
and
well.
also, I mean, I had forgotten where Deathwish was. Like, you had to remind me last time we talked that, like, oh yeah, he'd already appeared. And I'm like, did he? Shit, I thought
He
he
did,
appeared
yeah,
in this.
yeah, in
Yeah,
hardware, yeah,
yeah, he appeared in hardware, and then of course he also showed up in this anniversary issue, whatever you want to call it. Like,
yeah,
I forgot that that was a thing that he shows up because he's still in prison at this point, kind of doing his own thing. Well, doing his prison thing, but
right,
like, he's got um his whole backstory had already been given. I kind of forgot that part until he
yeah,
showed up again. I'm like, oh yeah, that's what it was. And then conveniently they gave issue numbers in this, so I was like, oh yeah, hardware number 5. All right, let's look that up. I got the first few volumes. So here we go.
yeah.
But yeah, so
Well,
Death Wish. So Death Wish, like the miniseries, is it's gonna be interesting to talk about. We are probably not the right guys necessarily. So yeah,
I think we have the empathy to discuss it,
we
and
do.
also know where we don't have the expertise.
Yes,
Like,
that's the thing of it, because this is a story about. I mean, this is very prominently, very specifically, this is a trans story, a trans narrative by an author who was transgender. Although I kind of tried to look it up. I don't know if she was out at the time. I don't.
All of them are listed as
with
her male
male,
name.
right?
Under her dead
Though
name. Yeah, that's
though
But
the
that,
the
obviously we don't even know where she
character
was at. It has the exact same name, so it's
the
not
the,
like she
the
was
character,
hiding it.
right.
Yeah,
I kept expecting the next issue to be Maddie Blaustein.
that's
well,
and there's
yeah,
also a like an epilogue letter or something or other from Maddie's partner Eve, um, who and the drawing that accompanies them certainly makes Maddie look like a woman, even though at the time she was, as far as I understand, still presenting as male, et cetera, et cetera. This, yeah, I mean, so to start off real quick, this is a 4 issue miniseries written by Maddie Blaustein and co-written, as I
or
understand it.
Adam, right?
Well, yes, I mean, dead naming
Oh,
her son.
Maddie. Okay, sorry.
Right?
I
No, no,
was
no, no. It's
confusing Martin and
the
sorry.
character,
I
right?
you said
Sorry.
an M. You said an M name, so sorry. I was confusing the M name,
No,
not
Yes.
hey,
to
I get
dead name him. Yeah,
no,
them,
no, I understand.
her.
Um,
Well, and I never know how to handle it when like
No, it's
former
no. Well,
creators
I
and
do know the standard, and I know this just from the young people in my life. The
right.
standard is even if because actually I have a godson, who I initially knew as a little girl, but like even when we speak about him in past tense, we use his current name. You know what I mean?
right.
Like
Well,
so.
and overall that makes perfect sense to me, but I what I wonder about, just because like ND Stevenson, new
Right.
copies of Nimona have the credit changed.
Yeah. Or also, there's actually a character-based version of this. There's a middle grade novel which was originally titled George, which then was re-released under the name Melissa because that's the name that the main character takes on at the end. And like
Mhm,
that's got 2 different listings in the library.
mhm,
I actually looked this up a while back because it was a question for me of if you have an author or creator of any sort who went by a different identity, how do you reflect that in like the computer records? And there is a way to do it. In fact, I was proud of myself for looking this up. um, but like there's a way to do that under library standard cataloging, and I'm so proud that I know that. Um,
What is it? I'm just curious.
it has to do with how they do what they call mark records, which are machine readable cataloging. It's how they're entered in the computer. It's you include a link to like another identity that the person may have been listed under and so forth.
Hmm.
It's only come up like once or twice in my job, but I'm very proud that I know it. Anyway, but yeah, so this is written by Maddie Blaustein and her partner Eve Fizani, I assume. Um, at the time under Maddie's dead name, and Maddie Blaustein, for people who don't know, she was quite a multi-talented person. Like she's famous for a whole bunch of different interestingly connected things. So she had done some issues of Static, I believe, or maybe went on to
I
do
think
some.
so.
Had she gone on to do issues of Static? I'm not actually sure.
I don't know. I don't remember seeing her name in Static.
I'm not
Uh,
sure either, but I
Yet.
looked her
I
up and
mean, like yet. I mean,
she was
because
listed as
they
being
kind of transitioned from Robert Washington to Ivan Velez,
yeah.
for the
I
most part.
Yeah, I just when I was looking her up on Wikipedia, that was one of the credits that she was listed under
Yeah.
was she had written some Static issues. Well,
Maybe there's probably a good chance she comes in after Ivan leaves, maybe.
I wouldn't be surprised. She also specifically like created one of the characters who was more notable from the animated series as well, the Rubber Band Man, who
Okay.
became one of the recurring characters from the TV series. Yeah, um, she
Oh,
was
so
also
Bandman hasn't
And
popped up
was a
yet.
voice actor.
Yeah.
and was yeah. So Maddie Bossi was also a prominent voice actress. She is probably most notable as one of the uh, I don't think she was the first person to voice the character, but she was one of the first and one of the most prominent people to voice Meowth from Pokemon.
Hmm.
And in several interviews, credited an episode of Pokemon where it was about Meowth like realizing he wanted to go and travel the world and like wanted to change from just being a Pokemon to like hang out with humans and stuff. That she said was part of how she sort of came to terms with her gender identity as well, which I think is extremely
Hmm.
cool. Um, but
I think that's interesting because and I don't think any of us have the answer of exactly where she was at this point, but my guess
yeah,
is, um, I mean, it's all in the writing, right? Like the reckoning
yes,
that a person goes through, and that it's not like a switch that specifically neatly gets flipped one day. Like maybe like obviously in the story as we're reading it, just to skip ahead a little bit, but we get a lot in Marissa, formerly Martin. Like we kind of have like the opening pages of issue one. We see Martin Blaustein, who's a detective and seemingly like the best detective on the force, um, have a run in with Hardware. But then from then on, like we only see Marissa, and there's a time jump forward. Um, but like there's a lot of scenes here, and there's some like really significant ones where like Marissa's having a dream, where she's kind of facing off against Martin, and like the takeaway of what she expresses is it's not like well she there's sorry I'm jumping around, but there's also like the interaction she has with her boss, right?
yeah, her
Who
boss and her partner, who is a
right
as in her cop partner,
right
um,
but
who is
with her
her partner.
boss, it's interesting because her boss is like more understanding it, and this is the way that I'm sure us cis people can be really frustrating for trans people because he's more understanding and he's trying, right? Like he
Yes,
tells the partner to be like she, say Marissa, like, et cetera. But he
yeah,
also, at the same time, like at a different point, expresses frustration is like, I miss Martin, which is a really messed up thing to say.
it's
Like
messed
he
up, but
doesn't
it's
mean it in a messed up way, but it is
right.
messed up. But she doesn't say it to him, and I think that gets at the complexities of being a marginalized person in a workplace, period. But like this specific intersection of marginalization that she's at, where she is thinking that she like likes her boss and is really frustrated with him, and she
Yeah.
doesn't correct him. She just says me too when he says that, even though it's not what she means, because in her
Yes.
thoughts that she's having throughout this exchange, she's really expressing like he doesn't get it. It's not like we were schizophrenic or we're like multiple personalities. Like Martin was essentially who I pretended to be before I figured it all out. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or before I so it's just interesting that sorry, just looping back to Maddie Blaustein, the writer, it really makes me think that maybe part of why Maddie is credited under her old name is she was somewhere in the you know what I mean, like somewhere in the transition and it hadn't worked it
Oh,
all
I
out
think
yet.
so. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
See, I
as much as I don't think it's ever explicitly been, I don't know that there is a timeline. I don't
Right.
know when she came out, etc. I think it's pretty clear because also in the book, in the in like the letters page and stuff, her name is signed as Addie, which is a
Oh.
shortening of her dead name, her birth name.
At the time, right? The issues
Right.
that they're coming out. Yeah.
Yeah, but also then of course that's sort of a cutesy version of her eventual chosen name. So like there's a
Yeah.
yeah, there's
So
no
she probably knew, but maybe wasn't like, you
open
know,
to expressing it just
yeah,
yet.
or even just like in, or maybe people around her knew, but just like in how she's credited. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I have to assume also like her partner Eve, who I also don't know much about. I haven't been able to find as much information on her. Like it's unclear kind of where they both were in their respective journeys and so forth, and it's yeah. I mean, the unfortunate sideline to all of this is that Maddie unfortunately passed away at like a
Oh
very
no,
young age, like in her early 40s, I think.
I didn't know
Um
that. Yeah.
48,
that's what was that? Did you say 48 or
48
yeah.
Damn.
Um,
Was
of
it
just
health
it was
reasons
a, it
or?
was a healthy. It
health
was like an untreated stomach something or other. It was like
Oh
virus.
no,
Yeah.
yeah, it was
that
like
sucks.
really kind of a shitty way to go, but not even in like a yeah. It sucks. It sucks that she was such an interesting person who was kind of still just getting. I don't want to say just getting started, but like she's obviously had so much more stuff that she was doing, and had so many interests and like
Yeah,
she was not just, doing voice acting and writing comics, but there was other, I believe she was doing some writing as well. I don't know. There's so many interesting things that she was going to be and do, and it really fucking sucks that we don't get to we're never going to get to see those. So yeah, I don't know. It's awful. But her experiences, I mean, she did leave us with a pretty fucking phenomenal body of work that exists right now because yeah, this comic, first off, fucking rules for a lot of reasons. I do
yeah,
really like it. It's a weird mashup of, Dirty Harry parody and
yeah.
also like, you
Which is
know,
kind of what Deathwish is, but
yeah,
like, yeah,
I mean, yeah, Deathwish is himself a bit of a Dirty Harry parody, who's also sometimes played straight, who's also sometimes not so played straight.
yeah,
He's a mishmash. He's a real mishmash.
yeah.
Um, but we've got like there's even the joke at some point where she refers to herself as Dirty Mary,
Right, right.
stuff like that. Like
And
it's
she
both
has the whole like, this is a story of a woman who got pushed too far, or something like
yeah,
that. Like,
the
you know what I
repeated
mean?
lines that they keep
Yeah,
using from those movies. Yeah, no,
yeah.
it's both tongue in cheek and also like deadly serious
It's
in a
so smart though. It's
it
so
is.
smart because it's kind
It's
of
so
like
smart.
Death Wish, like when Death Wish was introduced, and I think we talked about this in Hardware, but when he was introduced, his story is so messed up and so just like uh I don't know, just so kind of like over the top in like the bad
Yes.
stuff that happened and how it happened in his backstory that it's like, yeah, like what are we gonna get 4 issues just in his head? Like that would be crazy. So, but
It's
this is so much more interesting. I'm sure that
yeah.
like a great writer could do a Death Wish centered story and make it really good. But I just find the idea of looking at it through Marissa's eyes and the way that Death Wish is this kind of like specter almost that is like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, like poking at uh her, like the part of her that's angry and that just wants to, like, handle things in a lethal manner, and it's, yeah, it's just, it's so much more interesting because Death Wish is really just on the periphery of the story, but in
Yeah.
some ways that makes Death Wish way cooler and more interesting of a character than when we just had Death Wish at the center. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
to me.
I don't particularly care about seeing like more of Deathwish's story as a dude, but
Yeah,
as a foil to Marissa, he's great. Like
yeah, yeah,
it's so okay. So to start with, we start off with a narrative about Martin Rom, who is he's a cop who's been tracking the murders of largely prostitutes in the poorer sections of Dakota, and then also specifically like
Particularly
brutal, weird
trends.
serial murders of prostitutes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, and comes across. I'm trying to remember the exact order of things. Does he come across a woman who?
Boots.
What was
Oh,
that?
oh no, sorry, I was saying Boots, but you're no. Go
Yeah.
ahead. Yeah.
So Boots is the person who is the serial killer, who's only known as
Right.
Boots because he wears these extremely fancy bits of, metal toe-studded leather boots that are just completely ludicrously high fashion. I fucking love
Right.
them.
Right.
They're so great.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing is it's camp isn't the right word, but it's doing very specific types of 80s over the top serial killer nonsense fun. Like it's
Right.
I wouldn't say fun, that's not the right word.
No,
But
I know
like
what you mean. Yeah. Yeah.
it's hitting a very specific vibe with its tongue both in cheek and out of cheek. Like it's doing a lot. Parentheses positive. It's doing a lot of really interesting, really fun mashup bits that is hard to get across. But yeah, so Martin comes across murders by this Boots, who's only known because he has these massive steel-toed boots that he kicks people to death with, but also like stages the corpses of these trans prostitutes. So he
Right.
also specifically kills only transgender prostitutes,
Yeah.
transgender women prostitutes. Um, and then I
To
forget
your
if this.
point, real quick, because I think you had started to ask this. The women who he comes across, it's specifically Dina or Dini who becomes her partner eventually,
Yes,
becomes Marissa's partner.
right.
Um
That's yeah.
yeah, Dini survived, but the other woman did not.
Right. So Martin comes across this, pair of murdered women, or this pair of women, one of whom is murdered, and the other of whom is traumatized. That's Deanie. And then we kind of jump 4 years
Yeah,
forward.
4 years. Yep.
Yeah,
Almost
where
five.
now,
Also, Boots tells her
Escapes. Yeah. Oh,
yeah, like
that she's
Boots.
one of them.
No, that's later. That's Deathwish, I think.
Death
Right?
Wish does. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Deathwish
I thought
tells
it was in that scene.
I
Oh, Boots does say something to somebody, but I know what you're talking about though. But
okay.
Ted's right though. In this opening scene, Death Wish is the one that says you just haven't figured it out yet.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's
Okay.
Death Wish was there too. Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Death Wish shows up after
I
Boots
think
gets
of
away.
Death Wish as in prison, but you're right.
But this is
Yeah.
the
I'm getting confused
very
too.
beginning, and then Death Wish is in
Yeah,
prison
yeah.
4 years later. Yeah,
Yes. So Deathwish is in prison. Deathwish was also suspected of killing the women, but is in fact innocent, I believe. And then yeah, so we get Boots. We get now 4 years later. Marissa Rom is the detective who's still obsessed with catching Boots because of course her partner is the survivor of one of these massacres, and also has transitioned, and that's a major part of it. That's a major thing for her. It obviously that's a dumb thing to say, um, but it's a major part of her story that she's now quite literally a different person, and she's still having to deal with these incredibly sexist cops she works with, and is this sort of jaded, chain smoking, you know burnout cop. I mean, part of the fun is how much it plays into the very classic
pop
80s cop.
tropes.
Yeah, the cop tropes of like, honey, you gotta let this case go. You're gonna burn out our
Well, and it
marriage.
even makes fun of Botchko and
Yeah. Oh, but it's also, I mean, it's so smart about it, and it's so fun with what it's doing because then, Boots has come back. Boots is starting to murder all these prostitutes again, and he's not just murdering them, he's like arranging them into works of art, and
Yeah,
he's like, it's, I mean, it's grotesque, but it's intelligently grotesque. Maddie very clearly knows what she's doing when she's writing this, where she's playing off of these works of serial killer thriller fiction.
hmm
I mean, there's one of the issues is
can I?
even called Silence of Dakota or something, or
Right, and I just
yeah,
want to say very briefly, I was struck by that. Like, there's one issue where Boots like also has these terrible henchmen who just are like really homophobic and terrible. Um
Mhm.
it becomes increasingly clear that Boots is a big part of Boots's issue is seeming like self-hatred, right? And lack of acceptance of who he is.
Yeah.
Now, one running trope throughout film for a long time, especially in the aforementioned Silence of the Lambs, is just a really dangerous, murderous trans person. Like, you know what I mean? And like that
Oh yeah.
pops up over and over. What is really fascinating here, I feel like this miniseries subverts that trope, and only in the sense that, like, yeah, sure, could you say Boots is that trope? Yes, you can, and Boots is essentially, I don't know, some kind of like Buffalo Bill, terrible killer guy, right?
There's also
But
that. There's also
yeah,
that the Michael Caine movie.
oh yeah,
I forget the name of it, but you know what I mean.
I think I know
Um,
what you mean. Yeah, 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 yeah. A lot of movies. It's a lot. It pops up in
it's
a lot of
the
media.
trans killer trope is such a oof boy.
Yeah,
I mean,
and queer
it
people
goes
have
back to
like talked
Psycho.
about
It's
that forever. Just like the psychotic queer characters or queer
oh god,
coded.
yeah.
Sometimes they're not even queer, but
Yeah, but it
they're
goes. I
just
mean,
like
it goes all the
coded.
way back to freaking Hitchcock and Psycho. You know, like that's
Yeah. Oh
the whole
yeah.
cross-dressing.
That's
Yeah,
that's probably the archetype, really.
oh yeah.
Like,
There's a couple really good videos I've seen about like the history of the crazed trans killer
yeah,
as a film archetype. It's got an unfortunately long history, but anyway, yeah.
yeah. But all I was gonna say is just is that again, this is what we always talk about representation is it's not that like a character from a certain group has to be like perfect or flawless, but it's like if you have multiple characters of a certain background, then it's like it takes the onus off of having to represent everybody like in this like flawless way because
Oh
you
yeah.
have multiple trans perspectives. You don't only see the trans perspective through Marissa or
You don't only see it
Boots.
through Deanie as like
Yeah.
the sort of fallen woman prostitute who's forced to do this to make ends meet. No, you have so many
And
trans characters.
yeah,
Yeah.
and Deanie is like a realized character in herself. Like
Oh
she is a
yeah.
supporting character, but she has agency. She's a like like a fully realized character in herself. So I'm just saying like that's the
Yes.
type of like storytelling that's going on here. It's
Yeah, which is very much a Milestone thing. It's always been that thing of having, yeah, when you have so many black characters, you don't have to worry that like each of them needs to be, or like one of them the only one you have has to be the good representation. Yeah, it's
yeah.
the same basic idea. I mean, parentheses again, positive. Like it. Yeah, I'm also thinking of like there was something else I was going to say here about. I am completely blanking on what I was about to say. Uh, Perspectives, characters. Um,
Uh
I don't know. I'm
yeah, we were talking about maybe having multiple points of view of
multiple points of view, and then
transparent
also like
characters.
yeah, some of them getting to be like the asshole characters. Like
Oh yeah,
Marissa's an
yeah.
asshole. Marissa is like a terrible person in a lot of ways.
She
Marissa
is, but you get
and
her too.
a
You know what I mean?
sympathetic
Like,
character, but
yeah, yeah.
she's an
But she
asshole. Like
is an
she
asshole. Yes,
but
yeah,
like
that's
again,
true.
yeah, like you said, sympathetic. You understand her. You get why she's interesting. She has a really cool story. She has a really fascinating and deep story. Oh, I remember what I was going to say, which is I do find it then. I mean, as much as I love Deanie, I then that makes the fact that she gets killed and
Yeah.
kind of a not great in the sense that like it's sort of hacky. I don't know. I really disliked
Well,
how she gets killed in the story because it's sort of out of nowhere.
it
Well,
is,
It
but I
does
knew something
kind
was
of.
really wrong though when that awful partner lied. Because you know he's lying, because Marissa did not send him,
yeah,
like
yeah,
which I
it
guess
does.
for listeners we should say what happened. But go
Right.
ahead.
So exactly what happens is, I mean, to go through the plot more. So Marissa is tracking down Boots. She also then does the Silence of the Lambs, consulting the killer thing. She speaks to Deathwish in prison. He then decides to break out at that point. I do love that it's just like, yeah, he could have broken out at any time.
Yeah,
He just
yeah.
didn't have a reason. And he just, yeah, cracks the space
He's like,
open.
it's time now. Yeah.
Yeah, he just pulls the chains off the wall, and then also just he does like beat the shit out of those cops, but specifically doesn't kill them. Um,
Right.
because he's one of the good guys. But he so he then starts helping Marissa more or less to understand what Boots wants and all this stuff and why Boots has this messed up obsession with killing trans women specifically and arranging them into art and yeah it's this extremely psychological Silence of the Lambs post Silence of the Lambs thing where it's so cleverly commenting on it And eventually, of course, Marissa goes too far, and she has to turn in her badge, but she's going to do this one last job where she finally takes it down, gets the revenge she's always wanted. It's God, it's so good. I love
And she shaves her hair.
and she
Like,
she's so
that, which
then
is a classic cinematic
it's
transition into badassery.
exactly the whole last part where then she not only shaves, she like does the full on like
Leather,
leather
yeah,
and
yeah.
PVC outfit and
Which
gets
I
the
loved. I was
gigantic.
here for it. This is
Oh,
where
it's
you can put tropes in your story, but if you use it effectively and knowledgeably,
yeah.
like it's
It's
dope.
so good because again, like you said, I mean, it's that thing where you have the queer villain who's the queer fucked up like villain. Oh my God, it's a man dressed in women's clothing. That's so messed up. But in here,
Yeah.
it's no. This is her taking agency and deciding to beat the shit out of this dude and kill him and
Yeah.
finally get revenge. And also, she's doing that by going to the biggest like genderfuck drag party in this of Dakota, like
Hmm.
hunting him through the rooms. God, it's so good. It's it's so much fun, and it's like the one thing that's funny about it, and which I know then gets flipped by the follow-up story in Hardware, is that it has virtually nothing to do with the rest of the Milestone universe, which isn't a bad thing. Like I don't think it's. I mean, okay, eh, Deathwish shows up, but Deathwish was already himself kind of an oddball bit of Milestone anyway, because he's kind of just the Punisher, um, which yeah, sure,
Which in a lot of ways he's maybe kind of a parody too, because like
yeah,
Punisher comics
he's
play it straight. Like, of course this guy makes sense, and what he's doing makes sense. He has to because it's you know what I mean. But like
yeah,
Death Wish is so the story does not shy away from saying Death Wish is really messed up.
yeah,
They're not like his point of view is good and he's necessary.
yeah.
They're
He is
like
just a crazy dude, also.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Although, also, is it this storyline or the next one where he literally just like takes the keys and walks out of jail? I think it's the next. I
It
think it's the
might be
hardware
the
storyline.
next one. Yeah, I don't think it happens in this
Yeah,
one.
in the hardware storyline that follows this up, he then literally just like I mean, I'm kind of spoiling it, but he literally just sees news about. Oh, that is, yeah, it is the hardware story because he sees a news story about something that is like, oh no, I have to take revenge for this, and he just like walks. He's in like the exercise yard wearing the full Death Wish
Right,
makeup,
right.
which is so it's so
Which in
stupid.
itself is hilarious to me because that is a thing. Depending on like the sometimes you see it in like superhero cartoons,
Oh
sometimes in
yeah,
comics, but it's like why are you locking them up with their stuff?
with the full
Like
costume and everything. Yeah,
yeah,
but
yeah,
he just gets off the weight bench, goes over to the guard, and is like, and just I don't even think he asks him for the keys. The guard just like looks at him and gives him the keys, and he just walks out of the prison yard because he
yeah. He
knows that
grabs the
like
gun from the
yeah,
guard, yeah, and
it's my time to shine, baby. It's so stupid, and I love it. But again, like this is not a series that has a whole lot to do with the Milestone universe as a whole yet, because the follow-up hardware store, if I'm remember, sorry, store, if I'm remembering correctly, does do a lot more with the weirder stuff of the Milestone universe in a really fun and wacky way. So I'm really looking forward to
yeah.
that too. But
No,
yeah,
definitely. But I would say like just real quick, like,
oh sure,
and I forget I forget what we were talking about, but it is a thing where I like to me this is world building even in the way that it feels different and separate from what we've seen in the Milestone universe because it's the way where like in like a real life city that you might know really well. One day you like go to a neighborhood, you're like, oh, I never turned down this block before. You know what I mean? And then you're like, oh, there's
yeah,
this whole other side to this town, you know? And
yeah,
I feel like, and of course, like Dakota would have like like where would
queer
the
community.
queer people of Dakota hang out or stuff like that. So I think
Yeah,
it kind of fleshes out the world
it
that
does.
we've seen
It's not
so
that it
far.
ever. It's not that it doesn't fit. It is just like suddenly, we don't have static and we don't have hardware icons
Yeah,
or
yeah,
those characters around, and it's that makes it extra fun for when they do show up in the follow up stuff.
yeah.
But let's see, where was I going with any of this? I oh, so yeah, it ends with Marissa does get revenge on Boots, and she ultimately, I think she just straight up kills him, right? She doesn't like.
No, no, she gives him the Death Wish
Oh, that
choice.
yeah, I
She
forgot about
tells
that.
him that like she hands him the revolver and says you could shoot me or you could shoot yourself, which is interesting in itself, right? Because Boots does have the agency to. I mean, usually when Deathwish tells people that, he's like basically saying like, but if you try to shoot me, I'll just take the gun back and kill you myself. Like, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's like the intimidation, but you feel like she means it too, you know? So in that way, she goes full Death Wish, you know, and she also loses Marissa in the not Marissa, Deanie in the process.
Yeah, which is, I mean, I
Yeah,
get
we should talk
why
about
they
it.
kill Deanie. I get that it's a narrative trope. I get that there's sort of a reason for it. I still, the way they do it,
Is there? I kind of
yeah,
felt like she was fridged.
she was kind of fridged. I really didn't, I don't
How do
know.
we? Yeah.
I didn't like the way she got killed. I didn't like that it was. I mean, the partner who shows up, I thought was going to be a completely different character type. I thought he was going to be, the asshole partner who, the most he gets at the end is he, gets kicked in the balls and everybody has a good laugh while Marissa and Dee
Hmm.
Dee make out in the sunset or whatever. Like, I thought he was going to be sort of the funny, the guy that the bad shit happens to because you don't feel
Yeah.
bad about it. But no, he's just also secretly always hated Marissa. Like,
Well, yeah, can I posit
yes,
this
please.
is how I interpreted it. Like both of you, I don't like that Deanie died. I'm not like, oh, what's the big deal? I agree. Like I wish in whatever, like I rather that she didn't, yeah. But this is I can only make an educated guess as to what, Eve and Maddie were, like what narrative reason they had behind this. What I think is all right, like so you're interested. We talked about like and we haven't gotten to all the other cops. Needless to say, it's 1990 something. It's a bunch of like testosterone driven like shithead cops. And so this is not the place for Marissa to go for understanding and compassion, right? They're horrific to her, and they're really bad. Now, this partner guy, I look at it as, and you could still say it's fridging, I suppose, but like I look at what happens and like the turn he takes as maybe a thesis statement on the fact that, oh, that shitty guy that's just telling jokes or like, like just messing around, like
Yeah.
it can be the most dangerous one. And you could take that like as far as like transphobia, homophobia, racism, all of the above. Like, you know what I mean? Like when freaking who's the South Carolina asshole? Dylan Roof like shot up the
Oh,
church.
Jesus. Yeah. No,
Like a
you're
big
right.
part of his backstory with those other guys that were like, oh, he was just, I don't know, he was saying racist stuff, but
He's
he was
making
just
jokes.
joking around. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And like you see where like bigotry is bigotry, like and it can be very dangerous. So to me, I almost feel like what happened was like a sad commentary on a type of shitty dude.
Yeah.
Even the other cops at the force who seemingly were like more aggressive and hostile, you know what I mean? Like they you didn't necessarily see them take it to this point. But it's this guy who
No.
seems like kind of like an asshole goofball. So anyway, yeah, I agree though.
I,
I
I
would
mean, I
rather
guess,
like
I guess
yeah.
I, I guess I buy the argument, but then I think that by doing it like literally in the final pages, and with
Hmm.
the only resolution being that she's in Paris alone, um, he like dropped the ball on actually driving that message
That's a
home.
good point.
Yeah. I it's yeah,
Yeah, because
it's
it's like
un
I agree with that because it's kind of like I'm looking at the page and it's really just a handful of panels that really address it.
and I feel like
Um,
there's probably some panel count issues there too. That if it's that quick and it happens that sort of unspectacular or not unspectacular, you know what I mean.
like it's not allowed. It's a powerful page, but it's very quick,
Yeah.
and and you see that like similar to when Deanie's, and I guess in some ways is it like bookending how it started because at the beginning Deanie, like Marissa states that like Deanie was a fighter, like she was a scrapper and that she survived whereas her other friend didn't and she fought off Boots. And in this one it's like Lieutenant Thorne Kevin Scott Thorne, one of Dakota's finest. Um, and you know, Marissa mentions that Deanie was pretty scrappy and left him with a permanent scar. But then, you know, Deanie's dead, so it's kind of like,
Yeah.
and it's actually now that all right, you guys are right. There's also like some passive voice going on here too, because
I mean, I can definitely.
they don't actually say what he did. It's all there, it's implied because you see him being taken away, and it says one of Dakota's finest, blah blah blah. But like, you know, it doesn't even say like he.
Yeah.
It says my baby wasn't as lucky. Like that's kind of
yeah,
passive.
I can buy that there is a way that it could have been done that could have been powerful and valuable and meaningful.
Yeah.
I don't think they accomplished that.
It didn't
Right. Or
quite
she could
hit.
have survived. Oh, because
Yeah. Oh,
Right.
you could have still had the same
Right.
commentary.
I mean that
and
was
she got
one of the
away.
things.
Yeah.
Right. That was one of the things I was thinking is like there are two movies that I always think of when I think of like Oscar movies aren't allowed to have happy endings. One of them didn't even wind up getting nominated, right? And both of them I think I'd love if you just allowed them to have happy endings. And that's Million Dollar Baby and Pay
Oh
It
God.
Forward. And
Yeah.
Million Dollar Baby, I've literally never managed to watch again. Because if it had just been the female Rocky, sure, wouldn't have gotten all the plaudits, but it would have been really awesome. But no, you got to have a freak accident and turn it into this discussion of whether or not it's worth living if you've lost all of whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then like with Pay It Forward, like the number of times I've been sucked in because it was on TV and Haley Joel Osment is cute and it was before Kevin Spacey was toxic and
God, I forgot he was in that.
yeah, I haven't been sucked in a while. I haven't,
Mm-hmm.
but like, and it's a feel good movie until they kill him at the end for no apparent reason.
Yeah.
There
Well, it's
and
funny you mentioned that because you started this by saying Oscar movies, and I meant to ask you, do you mean Oscar TM, as in like the movies they make intentionally, like to
to
Yeah,
like
get Oscars. Yeah.
shooting for
yeah,
the Oscar, like you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
yeah.
There's a
I swear to God, I think that he gets killed at the end of it because they think that that ironic twist is what the
Right,
award voters want.
right.
there's a bit of social media that I've seen that I saw years ago, a tweet of some sort that has kind of stuck with me about, you know, I believe it was specifically a queer person talking about like the urge to self-destruct, the urge to, you know, commit suicide or whatever is, you know, has something that's always stuck with me until I realized that's awfully convenient for the people who are trying to destroy me anyway. And like that's
Mm.
something that's kind of applicable here where it's like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
awfully neat to make a little tragic, to have a real, you know, twist of the knife tragedy at the very end where she loses the one woman she was hoping to keep the whole life, that she, you know, loses her in this sort of freak thing. And like, yeah, from an abstract point of view, yes, but also like, wouldn't it have been even better if she just like fucking shivved that dude and that's how they ended, like it's a happy ending? Like,
Yeah,
I hate to
yeah,
criticize the
yeah.
work
And
of
then
a
they
person who's
kind of
dead and can't, like,
right.
you know, who can't
Yeah,
speak anymore about her work, but like
yeah.
I feel like that would have been a better,
I feel like you guys
more
have convinced
powerful
me. I
movie.
feel like that's the one. As much as I love this miniseries, that's like the one flaw for me where I would have
It's
rather they had done just what you just described. Like
yeah, it's
you
the
know,
one fly in the ointment for me is that it would have been, it's oof, man, yeah, it would have been the moment of survival would have been that much more powerful.
man,
Yeah.
I would love
Anyway,
to hear just an author talk from you know about what they were thinking. Like you know what I mean when they wrote this.
yeah,
Like,
I don't think it's collected in the trade paper. I don't think it's, is it collected in the compendium? But they
well,
have
there's
like letter
definitely no
notes and
letters
there's
here, are there? Or
do they have those?
Yeah,
Do they
no
also have
letters.
no?
no letters? Okay, because I looked at some actual scans of these issues that included the letters pages, and there's like
Mm,
final there's some author notes from Eve and from Maddie um, in the four issues, and also some letters as well. And some of those letters are pretty interesting too. And they
mm.
do. I mean,
Oh, I'd
it's
like to read those. Yeah. Go ahead.
yeah,
Sorry.
it's no, it's worth reading. I mean, it's it's an interesting work of its time. It is ahead of its time, absolutely. There are stuff I wish it could be, it could have been better at, but you know, that's You work.
I mean, I
This is the work
think
we have.
I mean, honestly, the thing that I always like to also say is I generally don't spend a lot of time on what I think could be better about bad things.
Yeah, that's it's not worth Monday
You
morning
got to
cardio.
have a really
Yeah.
solid foundation for me to care about what might make it better. So, like if I had to write a letter to the class that says, if I tear your story apart, it's because I like it. There's no more damning criticism for me than nice story and nothing else.
That's a good way to put it. Like this is a story absolutely worth talking about, which is the highest possible compliment I can give it.
Right.
It's this is
Um,
so
right.
man, it is I am so glad that it
It-
exists and I got to
yeah.
read it.
You know what I put this up there with with what we just described? There's like my only beef. I feel like Logan, the film, is pretty much perfect for me. My
Yeah.
one beef is that they saw in their infinite wisdom to, for no real reason that impacts the story at all, resurrect black acting greats. And I say black acting greats in the sense that black people know who they are, but everybody else doesn't necessarily. Eric LaSalle and who's the wife? It'll come back to me. But they throw a black family in the middle of the movie that helps Logan and
Right, the farmer.
X-23. And yeah, just to, and I was like, oh my God, they're gonna kill them. And like, you know what I mean? And like it does nothing for the story other than like, yeah, like fridging. Like it's classic
It's
fridging.
it's
Like
the little definition. It's to make them feel
except
sad.
yeah, except not even because I feel like it wasn't even the in the top five things that Logan was sad about in the movie. Like he was sad, but but he wasn't like sad
Yeah,
because
he
they
had a
didn't
lot to
even
be
go.
sad about. Yeah.
So my point is like that, and there's a few movies like that where I'm like, wow, this is incredible, and like, why did you have to just like kill this marginalized person, usually black person, but like in Deanie's case, trans
Yeah.
person, but like yeah, just to I don't know. It's weird. It's like when you do this like thing that's pretty much perfect, and you have to. They just can't. Although this is different, right? Because this is somebody of the same two writers of the same community that Deanie's from. Which
Yeah.
is maybe why I was giving them a little bit more grace than just if it was like a cis dude writing this story.
Yeah.
But it's still
Well,
like as a
and
reader
I
though, yeah,
absolutely give the grace.
yeah.
I absolutely give the grace, but like if there's ever a book that I've read that deserves a coda issue, this is it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, shit. It would be nice. And I mean, so Maddie, Marissa does show up in that hardware series, and boy, howdy, does she have some fun changes. So
Oh, okay. I
holy
didn't
crap.
read ahead yet, so I didn't. Okay, I'm gonna have
I
to go back.
so
Yeah.
like I remember some of those hardware issues better than a lot of other stuff. The,
Hmm.
what happens to Maddie
Well,
or
then
Maddie Marissa?
maybe I will wind up having a different opinion.
I
Um,
mean, it doesn't.
because I don't even necessarily think that it would take a ton. I don't even think it would require a full issue coda for me to wind up getting the message and tragedy. I mean, I don't feel like it spends enough time with the tragedy. I don't
It
think it spends enough time with the the danger of hate.
it does. I mean, it does feel also a little bit like it's checking off the checklist of what happens in the
Right.
Dirty Harry style vigilante,
Right.
cops push too far storyline, which is unfortunate. Like it does feel a little too much of it's just trying to hit the point that it needs to hit. Yeah, I
Which,
mean,
I mean, this also is the downside of monthly comics.
oh
I
right,
don't know what kind of deadline Maddie was working on. I don't know if there was an ability to rewrite and go, this doesn't feel right. A lot of monthly comics, a lot of the reasons why writers don't like doing them as much is it's a lot easier to craft a 6 issue story and have it be the way you want it want it to be than to be able to go issue in, issue out, and not do things that you wind up looking back on months or years later and going, "Oh my God, why did I do that?" Oh
Yeah.
yeah, too much coffee
Yeah.
and a
Oh, I know
deadline that
that's
was 3 hours past.
yeah.
You know.
I do feel bad for focusing on this one flaw in what is otherwise an absolutely fantastic miniseries. I do yeah, yeah, I feel a little bit guilty
No,
about
I
it.
think it's
But
valid.
again, as
It's
we're talking
valid. Even I
yeah.
was initially like, oh, I don't know, guys, but I the more I read it and listen to what you guys are saying, I can definitely see that critique. One interesting thing, just looking ahead, is that Adam and Eve, or sorry, I'm only saying Adam and Eve because it's written that way, but
Yeah.
Maddie and
And
Eve,
also it's such a great like
it
it's
is
not
like, yeah,
deliberate, but
yeah,
it is
it's
perfect.
yeah, but Maddie and Eve write the hardware arc that's coming up. So I think that's
Yes.
cool too,
Right.
that they get to like really essentially revisit these characters in their own voice.
Yes. I
Right.
am so excited for this upcoming story because it is such a amazingly it's wild. Like this is again sort of doing a very specific I don't want to say parody, I don't even want to say satire. It's doing a
Yeah,
specific thing.
I know what you mean because they play it like straight. Like they don't
Yes.
there is all types of references and like you say, like kind of like satire or parody of the tropes of this genre of you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
like it usually with a parody there's a certain silliness. Like you know what I mean? And
Yes.
there's no this isn't like the Naked Gun. Like you know what I mean?
Right.
Like they're playing it as a series. And because of what Maddie's story is, or sorry, Marissa. Sorry, too many Blaustein's names
No, I
to
get
keep track of.
it.
But like because of what
Well,
Marissa's
but
story is,
Marissa
like
does get called Maddie, so I mean,
yeah, yeah, no Mort, right? I think Mort is the
Mort
nickname
and
that she.
Gort or something? There's like a
Yeah,
certain
yeah,
two
and Hort, I think, yeah.
Hort. That
somebody
yeah.
was calling her Maddie too.
Oh, maybe you might be right. Maybe
I
it's
think
the
Mort is for when she's pissed at her, and Maddie
yeah.
is for when she's being sweet.
Okay, that's
Yeah,
interesting.
In
it's
fact, they even talk about she calls me Mort when I'm being a geek, Hort when I'm being a real geek.
I
Right,
do
right, 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 right.
their little relationship tidbits are so fun. Like
And
that's
Yeah.
another
I
part
feel
of it
like
is
that almost has to be pulled from their real story, right? Like their real
yeah.
interactions. It
I
feels it feels too natural to just be.
and it makes it even more it makes it suck even more that Marissa that Deanie then dies because it's like with a lot of those movies, the fact that the guy has a wife and a kid or whatever, or is 2 days away from retirement, is just kind of incidental to the whole thing. And
Yeah,
in this case, no, like they genuinely love each other. You get to see it. Like they're genuinely in love. They've got their own little pet names and everything. And here, no, it's just it's and so that makes it all the more poignant and awful that she dies in kind of
yeah.
a shitty way. Anyway, um,
You know what's interesting? Oh, sorry. We
no, I don't really have anything else to say on
I
that.
was gonna say like one thing that I find interesting, and this isn't a critique specifically. It's more of like a just question. Like I found it interesting that in issue three, like the opening page of issue three, it's this dream sequence where you kind of see Deathwish and a dead version of Boots, it seems like, and Maddie, and it's this whole interaction, and then you also see like both Maddie and Martin represented, sorry, Marissa and Martin represented,
Yeah.
and but they do this thing visually because, of course, as an artist, I'm going to pick up on this where they jump back and forth with like kind of like a cartoony, for lack of a better term, um, version of Maddie to like the quote unquote regular version of Maddie that we see. And that's obviously like a technique that I like that we employed in Big Jim, where it's kind of like for different sides of the narrative or to evoke different feelings, you kind of jump back and forth between styles. I
Yeah.
just it almost stood out to me more because it only really happens for like 4 panels, like you know what I mean. And I almost part of me is almost wishes like maybe we saw more of that because
Yeah.
I think it's effective where we see it, and I actually think that could. But then again, it's like this story really in its main world has a very established tone, and I guess that could have really taken us out of it if the rest of the story went back and forth artistically.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't actually said anything about the artist who is J.H. fucking Williams on this, by the
Yep,
way, and
pretty
Yeah,
doing
early. Yeah,
I
killing
mentioned it
it.
early on.
Oh, did okay, good. I just because this dude obviously kills it on the
yeah.
art. Absolutely fantastic job. I do. I mean, it's I like that he. Marissa has an. God, this is gonna sound like a backhanded compliment. I love Marissa has a really interesting face. I like her face a lot, which that sounds like a really backhanded compliment.
She's also
She.
got huge 80s, 90s glasses too,
Oh my
which
God, the
adds to the
glasses.
interesting
I
nature.
appreciate that she's wearing flats. Like, I
Yeah,
love that she's wearing actual flats and she's not trying to have,
yeah,
fucking
that's
heels and
true.
everything. Like,
She doesn't have like 8-inch stilettos like most comic
yeah.
women.
Oh, it's so good. No, I mean, obviously, guess what? J.H. Williams, talented artist. I hope that guy goes far. I hope he keeps doing stuff.
Yeah.
He, like,
Did I
God,
ever tell you what Shelley Bond said about when um he did a run on Sandman
yes,
when she
yeah.
was editing. And when she inked him to do it, people are like, "Oh, you're never gonna manage to stay on schedule." Blah blah blah. And she's like, "No, we'll be fine." And she called him, and she said, "Okay, tell me, how long does it take you to do an issue? I can get it done in the month." No, no, no. Don't tell me what you think you want me to hear. Tell me
Mhm.
how long it takes you to get an issue done the way you
Mhm.
like to do it. And he's like, 6 weeks. And she's like, okay. And she called the nameless author and said, I need 3 fill-in issues. We
Hey,
need to give
yeah,
him some runtime, and we need to have a thing in the middle so that we can keep the
run some cover
and
for this
like
guy.
that's good editing.
Yeah,
You
Yeah.
know,
that's the
that's
ideal way to have someone cover for you.
rather than taking a great artist and trying to make them be something they're not.
Hmm.
Um, look at, I mean, and this is also a place where having an ongoing series allows you to do it because
Oh yeah.
Tom King told a similar story about letting his artists on his Batman run get caught up. The entire reason the Nightmares story arc exists is he was able to do these 6 um, one-shot issues with different artists and give the 2 artists that were doing the next long run time to get ahead. Chip
Yeah.
Zdarsky at CXC last year talked about how really the only reason the whole Joker year one that everybody loved happened is he wanted to give his regular artist lead time, but then DC got so excited that they released it weekly rather than bi-weekly, so he only stole his artist half the time that he wanted to.
Mm.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
I
Anytime. Oh, go ahead. Sorry to.
no, I'm just trying to think like other examples I can think of off the top of my head of like artists who need that lead time to make it work. And it's also just thinking about J.H. Williams and like, oh yeah, the guy who did that amazing run on both Batman and then also Batwoman. Like, yeah, you want to give
Yeah.
him as much time as you possibly can to make this happen. And these 4 issues really show him. I don't actually
Yeah.
know where he was in his career at this point. He'd obviously been doing some other stuff, but like I'm curious what he was doing.
Relatively early.
Yeah. I think this was pretty new. Yeah.
Yeah,
Maybe
but
not
like
the first, but yeah.
yeah, but he's already pretty developed as an artist. Like
Yeah.
you can see his signature style in this. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's,
Definitely.
oof, man, it's a lot. Yeah, overall, this is a really stellar bit of comic storytelling and also an incredible addition to the Milestone universe in a way that's just it's so good and it wouldn't have fit anywhere else. I mean, for as much as DC had Vertigo and stuff like that, this isn't really something you could do in the DC universe, but you can do in the Milestone universe, and they did, and it ruled. Like,
Yeah.
guess what? Um, yeah, God, it's such a fun. I don't even want to say artifact, but it's such a fun part of what Milestone is and could do, and I'm so happy that
Yeah.
it's here.
Definitely.
Yeah. I'm just noticing the time. Also, I'm thinking like, oh crap, I got to wrap this up. I got work in the
Yeah,
morning.
keep talking
Oh,
for a second because I'm trying to figure out where in his career J.H. Williams was when he did this, and we forgot Promethea.
No, I can't.
He also
Yeah,
did
let's bam.
Promethea.
Oh God, that's right. That was later though. You're not
Yeah,
looking at
that was
chronological
after
music.
this.
Yeah, yeah, Promethea. That was early 2000s, right? I think I'm trying to remember.
Yeah,
But yeah,
late 90s, early 2000s. Yeah.
yeah. So that was after. Yeah.
oh yeah. But yeah, this. I mean, I'm trying to. I don't know what else he did if he did anything at Milestone. Off the top of my head, I have no. I don't know. Um, Anybody know off the top of their head if Jay Williams did any other Milestone stuff?
I'm
I'm not
trying to figure
sure.
it out right now.
Hmm.
He had done some stuff at Innovation Publishing and Eternity Comics,
Hmm.
and then Blood Syndicate.
Oh, he
Number
did this
nine
number
was
nine.
Oh, I
his
remember that. That was
sixth credited.
it
Was his
focused on
sixth
what's his name?
credited
A
or his
boogeyman.
seventh credited
Boogeyman.
comic.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
And then
boogeyman
he
issue.
was
I
in
remember.
Showcase 93.
Okay.
And then
Yeah.
he was at Blood Syndicate 15,
Yep.
Judge
Okay.
Dredd number 5, Guy Gardner Warrior number
Whoa.
26,
Oh
and then
man.
Deathwish. So this is actually really early in
Damn.
his
Okay.
career.
And he's already
Yeah,
drawing like this. Good God. Okay. Well.
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and it also looks like he's doing this and Judge Dredd at the same time,
Jim
Mm.
Moses. I
which
can't believe
probably means one of them was done earlier.
it. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, no, this is, I mean, and this, I don't have Maddie Blaustein's credits up in front of me. I don't know how much else she did after this. She did, I know she did, like we talked about, she did some issues of Static. She may have even done one or two issues of Blood Syndicate. I forget if I looked that up, and that's what the other thing she was on. Um, I don't know if she did much that was, what, I don't want to say original as in not part of any existing universes. I kind of don't think so. But she was also
I
doing,
mean, some Peter Parker Spider-Man,
oh, that's good. Cool. All right. I dig it.
Web of Spider-Man.
Okay,
Of
yeah.
course, wait a minute. I haven't.
That was
I
the
gotta.
'80s, though.
Well, and I gotta change the roles because right now I've got it as all roles, and she was an editor too.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
let me
she
take it to just writer
If
roles.
I'm only going by Wikipedia, which is the end all of knowledge, it looks like the Milestone stuff was maybe some of the latest comics work, and then maybe there was a transition
Yeah.
to TV like after that
that's
animation.
right.
And we
She
had we had Hardware 20, Icon 18, Hardware 21, the Deathwish books, Hardware 23 and 24, and
wait,
then
that was
26 through 8.
she was doing the last few issues of Hardware?
Oh, that's interesting.
I thought we
Whoa.
Well,
commented
she
on it
definitely
then.
didn't do. I mean, this one the
She
big
didn't
one
do
was Dwayne
25.
McDuffie. Yeah.
Right. That was
Yeah.
yeah, that was Joey McDuffie again.
Yeah,
That's
no,
weird. I
Maddie
completely
Maddie had the Arcana.
oh, the Arcana
Oh.
stuff. Okay. I was
Yeah,
thinking
yeah.
of
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I
the
didn't.
system
Okay.
stuff. The protege, what's his name?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
No,
Yeah,
not that.
okay.
That was Otis Wesley
Right.
Clay. Yeah.
Yeah, I
But I
remember because
do
we were looking
remember
him up.
And then
at the time when we
Static,
read Arcana, we did remark on the fact that it was Maddie
yeah.
Blaustein.
That's
30 to
right. Yes.
35.
Okay. Oh, so later on, but a substantial run, 6 issues. All right. Okay. Yeah.
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 But that actually does look like it looks like that's the end of the comic writing.
Oh,
Because
okay.
everything after that that's coming up is collections of earlier stuff.
Okay.
Hmm.
Static
Yeah.
Which is another.
35 might be the last.
Yeah. This is a theme I come back to so much with other comic creators is just how tough it is to indefinitely like make a living in comics because you
Yes.
just have so many like awesome people like Maddie Blaustein who, you know, they end up pursuing other work.
Well, and one of the
Because
things I always wonder about, I mean, particularly when it's like Maddie Blaustein, where it's tangential. She became a voice actor, starting with comic type stuff. And it looks like she might have done some writing on some of that stuff.
mhm.
Was it initially she was doing both and then one was more lucrative. I mean, here there are
I'd
lots of
imagine,
artists. There are lots of artists that are right, like Jeff Lemire for a long time couldn't afford to write or couldn't afford to draw rather because
yeah. No,
because he
I'm thinking
made
about some moves
too much more
myself.
money as a
But
writer.
yeah, yeah.
What?
No, I in my 5 year plan, I'm thinking about some writing moves myself for the same reason because it's
Right.
just
Right.
Yeah, man, it's sort of hard for
Um,
us comics types.
so yeah, I mean, yes, it's sad, but it's to me, it's most sad if they wind up having to like go become an accountant or McDonald's manager versus moving into some other creative career
Yeah, I mean that is the
that's
thing
more
is she got to do
lucrative.
some amazing stuff. Like I obviously I would have loved to see what she'd come up with later in her career too, but like the stuff that she did leave us is really phenomenal stuff, and I'm so glad that we got it as it is. And yeah, I don't know. It's damn. This is such a good thing. I wish there was its own like special little collection of the Deathwish stuff of like just Maddie Blaustein's contributions to the Milestone universe. But I get that it's, part of the big compendium because there's a lot of individual writers who only had one or two, you
Hey,
know.
I'm just happy that they made the compendiums. For
Oh
years,
God, yeah, good point.
most of it wasn't reprinted at all.
oh, I know. I was
And
looking.
yeah, and even the
I can
stuff
tell
that
you what was
was
reprinted.
out of print.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there was a handful of
I think there was
icon, not a
I
lot,
think there were
and
two
there was a
volumes of
one static.
Icon that took you through like
Yeah,
issue 10.
yep. And
One
there was
volume was
one static.
Static that took you through like five or six.
No, that was it. And I would check, I would look.
Hardware, I think there were two volumes and it took you through
Yeah, I
like
had
issue
those. I had those
10.
2 volumes,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Yeah.
There was never a Blood
Um,
Syndicate, and
and none of the other stuff for that matter, like I had to come home to race to read today because Deathwish still isn't on DC Infinite.
hmm,
Hmm.
You can't get it digitally. You can only
You can
get
only
it
get it in the compendium. That
in the
sucks.
compendium.
Oof.
hmm.
You know. Um, and that's actually true of everything but those main like hardware, icon, and static. All of the issues are available digitally, and I don't think any of the rest of the milestone is.
Hmm.
Hmm. And like we were talking about, were we recording at that point or not? But where we were talking about like the Wise Son miniseries, like I don't
Yeah,
know if
I think
that
we were.
is. Yeah, I mean I'm sure that's in the compendium, but I don't know if that's up on DC Infinite or any of the other.
I don't think it
Probably
is.
isn't.
Yeah,
Yeah,
cheat, man. All right, well,
it's too real for
too,
DC.
too real,
I
way too
mean,
real.
hopefully it's not that, but one.
Eh,
Well, I
Maybe.
just I just know that DC has been behind the game on digitizing some of their stuff.
yeah.
So like every time I turn around, there are things that weren't there. Like the first time somebody recommended that I read Joshua Dysart's run on um
Unknown Soldier.
what's the soldier with Unknown Soldier.
Yeah, Unknown
It
Soldier. Yeah.
wasn't Yeah, it wasn't on DC Infinite at all.
Mm.
And now I think they're up to like the first six issues. It's 24
Okay.
issues, so there's still a way to go. But in a few months, it's gone from none to six issues.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, look, and then like not
and
to
for
be
that
the.
matter, go ahead.
Hmm? Oh,
Go
I
ahead.
just was gonna say, I was gonna say very briefly that I hear all of that, and I'm sure there's a lot that they're where they are catching up with digitizing. But my thing is, our society is what it is.
Oh, absolutely.
Some of us see it more than other clear than others by based on experience. And one thing I believe in, and I put my money where my mouth is, right? Like, um, as I've had situations where, I was sure to make sure that where say like, you had like female creators, right, and creative people, and I was like, I do not need to be centered in this discussion. You know what I mean?
Right.
And So I think there is something to be said for recognizing when there's a lack of representation in a certain area
Oh,
and maybe prioritizing certain things. And there's a lot of the worst people in America who are happen to be in power right now and
right.
creating an authoritarian government
Uh,
who basically believe that any prioritization or any, and I'm not critiquing you, but I'm saying
I
like any like conscious
but I'm just
efforts,
gonna agree with
no.
you. I'm gonna
Yeah.
say that I am willing to bet that like mid-November of last year, digitizing Milestone for the website got put on the back burner.
Mm-hmm.
All but guarantee it.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised.
And I guess that's what I'm saying. Like it's and
I
then
mean,
you know
particularly because you know that they've remastered it. Like the other argument that
yeah.
I'll give for some stuff is like when I was talking to Scott Bryan Wilson, um, his job at DC before he was a writer for a while, he couldn't write comics for DC because if you have a non-creative job, you're not allowed to have a creative job.
Hmm.
Like, so he had an office job at DC, but one of his jobs at DC was maintaining their library. So when he got there, they were like 20,000 different issues short of actually having their entire collection. Like a major part of his decade at the company was chasing down issues that they didn't have in their archive.
Yeah.
And he said some of them were way more recent than they should have been. It wasn't all going back and looking for like Atlas stuff or Superman #1.
Hmm.
Yeah, I just feel like it's like whether it's what
But
I
clearly
won't
they
go
have them now because they put out the compendiums.
right, but
Right.
whether it's like what we were talking about before about the seasons as opposed to like just giving Milestone room to breathe.
Mhm.
DC is leaving money on the table because
Oh, absolutely.
there's a very hungry audience.
Particularly
Hell,
because let's face it, once the writing and the art has been done, particularly to go digital, you're not talking about a lot of money.
right.
Yeah,
So
digitizing is relatively
yeah.
speaking cheap.
Yeah,
Right.
I really think it's a microcosm of the meritocracy myth, right? When it's kind of like, well, it didn't move like X amount of books or whatever, or Batman's our biggest seller, and for the record, for the millionth time, I do like Batman. I only go back to Batman because and
Oh no, I know.
I love Spider-Man, but Marvel's like Spider-Man's the money, Batman's the money in DC's case, so they're like, not only are we going to give you like three
No, and
Spider-Man book
I
at a
told you
time, but
guys,
we'll
man.
also give you like every possible remix of every ancillary character that you
Right.
didn't ask for. You know
I,
what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
I told you guys earlier, and I've been flipping through the catalog as we've been talking, so I got to see some stuff from it. They are doing, and this is like a Batman book, but still the Batman Beyond Static crossover series
yeah, it looks cool.
starting in I think September.
Yeah,
So,
Yes. Yeah,
or
no,
no,
that's
not
that's
starting in
that's
September, starting in November. It's in the September catalog.
yeah,
Uh,
yeah. No, I'll
so
definitely check that
so
out.
like they 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 do just
Sure.
enough to say, hey, some of my best friends are black.
Okay.
Oh, that's a
I
good word
will.
to
I
use.
will, but not to be too negative, but I will say this. You had to get Dwayne McDuffie, who is by all accounts from everybody across the industry, was brilliant, a great guy.
Yeah.
Yet he had obviously the level of frustration and
Oh
interference
yeah.
that
No,
gave
no.
birth to hardware. So my point is like, despite all that, he managed to bring Static to TV and make a hit where I'm sure a lot
Yep.
of people were telling him it wouldn't be one. You know what I
Well,
mean?
I mean,
And that's why like Static is the one character that they'll cross over a little bit. They did
what
put Icon and Rocket a little bit into Young Justice.
what's the most profitable Marvel movie?
I
Marvel, oh,
actually have no
probably
idea.
Black Panther, right? A solo, or you
Black
talking about?
Panther. No, Black
Yes, as
Panther.
a solo. Yeah, 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 yeah. No,
um,
definitely. But even that, I
which
feel like,
was never gonna make any money.
right. No, look at this. Look, we go. I sorry, I know we kind of went over, but like
Yeah, and
we could
also
talk about
I'm
something.
I'm,
Yeah.
I'm fading fast, but
Yeah, I
like
feel
I
you. I
do.
feel you. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was fun. Next week or next month we're gonna go track down Deathwish in the
Hmm.
pages of hardware with some more Matty Blaustein. So thank you guys as always. And Ted, sorry that we went completely off the rails
No,
Yeah, it's
and
all
let you
good.
hit the wall all at once.
hey, no, man. Like, what is this? What is this? What are we even doing here if we're not going off the rails? Like,
Well,
Right,
you,
right.
that's true. That's how I look at it. But,
it's
particularly when I know we're like when I suddenly realize that Ted is feeling like I should feel, but I get this weird rush from talking about comics.
it's hey, I get you.
And I
It is
and I
it is
and I
just
see on your face, I'm like, I too have to be up at 5 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Yeah,
oh my God.
yeah.
I
Let's
got
all get some rest.
yeah, man.
So for the brothers Anderson, no relation. This has been the Milestone Book Club on 22 panels. We will see you after the next page.